Good morning. Namaste. I guess we may as well begin. We've started the chat already. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to this Top Tarot Trumps series. And today is the Hierophant. And I have some really amazing cards to share with you. Mostly personal thoughts, a few things from a couple of guidebooks, and your conversation as well. So welcome. My name is Sadhana, and I'm here to share with you some of my favorite fifth arcanum. And you can see on the table here in the center, this is the, and I'm going to show a bunch and then narrow it down to 5. I'm not saying that these are top 5. In the center is a deck I've been showing quite a bit in this series, and that is Fine dalla Torre. It is an old deck, a restoration of an old deck, a Bolognese deck. Good morning, Saskia. And Dee and Aria, namaste. I feel like I've already said hello to you. Welcome. On the right is the John Bauer, and on the left is the Super Lunaris. The first thought that came to me, well, there's always simultaneous thoughts coming through this vessel of mine, but one is the, and I don't know if price is the right word. Maybe it's sacrifice. I don't know what the word is, but when one steps into this role, this dharma of Hierophant, there is a price to pay. Hi, Clevis, welcome. And I think this thought, and maybe some of you can express it more eloquently, came through the stigmata that is on the hands of the Hierophant in the center. And that is if we are constantly channeling, translating, receiving messages, teaching, there's a certain wear and tear on the physical body, and that's a very real thing. So now where this brain of mine is going is thinking about some discussions I had regarding, do you know Amma, the hugging saint? I've shared a few stories about my darshan with her, with Samantha, and contemplating how many saints carry a lot of extra weight. And one of my teachers had us thinking about the price that a lot of the time they carry the karma, they carry the everything they hear, everything they process moves through them. And there's this there's a few different terms. One is Shaktipat, which is a direct transmission through touch that can eliminate karma, a particular issue that you're moving through. But there's also this ability of enlightened beings to take on for you and process for you on your behalf what you are processing. And for people who don't understand this or have never heard of this, I always recommend Autobiography of a Yogi, as it's a bit of a difficult read if you can't get through all that Indian language. Yeah, a kind of a sin eater. And there's a couple of really good chapters in there where Sri Yukteswar, who is the guru of Swami Yogananda, has this kind of experience, where they almost die in the process of digesting others' karma. It could be a disease, it could be any number of things. And so, yeah, so the general theme here was, I was just thinking about the weight, the price, the you know how we a lot of time this card just gets slashed and abused, and we go to the first go-to is the institution and all the negative aspects of this card, rather than really sitting with this archetype and giving it some deep thought. So just some food for thought. Superlunaris, this deck over here. I bought this deck for this card because I have been here. Maybe not this exact temple, but I was absolutely blown away by the openness and the willingness of the sadhus, like the one who is featured in the Superlunaris, to allow Western women to ask questions, to engage with them. And mind you, we had a pretty deep group that I was with. And I remember this one smasham where we sat with, there was a couple of different places that we sat with different sadhus. A smasham is a cremation ground, and a lot of the sadhus have these little small cave-like homes where they live for many years in these grounds. And we asked some really deep questions, and it was a profound experience. And they live with nothing, you know. Basically, they live on very little food, if any, and they are there completely in service of God and to those who wish to engage in that sort of contemplation. Yeah. It's really something to experience. The reason I have the rock troll, the John Bauer card on the table, I think I have another one similar to it as well. And that is this kind of transmission. What I'm saying here, the earth herself can act as a transmitter, much like a Hierophant can. And the more open and less uninhibited and the less expectations you have, the more this sort of experience can open to you. And I just think there's so much beauty in this. And I imagine there's two children there. I also think of there was a Disney show, I think it was Disney, I don't know, maybe it was Pixar, the Frozen, I think it was Frozen movie, where the rock trolls were characters in that show and how they communicated with the humans in that show. I think it's something. I have a rock near my house, and it looks like an ape. I have shared photos of it before. Sorry, I didn't prepare it today. And it looks as if it came up through the earth from the African continent. I'm not kidding you. It's just like this great gorilla emerged through the earth. And we have great, deep conversations. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a archetype I want to take my time with, for sure. I'm going to show you a few other cards, and then I want to read you something from a couple of references. This is the Star Seeker, and you can see the devotees, the people who have come to listen on either side of the rock. And I really like the way the light is showing here through the central channel of the Hierophant. Because I see this figure, this archetype, as a transmitter. And the heavy dharma that they take on is this this role of teacher. So when the students are ready, they do appear, and they often appear in great number. I've been blessed with these experiences in lots of different countries. Sorry, I need to sneeze. And have met Hierophants that are young and old, a long Rastafarian hair that drags down beyond their 6-foot tall body, bald, fat, thin as a rail, white, black, brown, every age, every size, it's I just feel, I don't know, it's just such a lovely mystery for me. And I think mystery is a great word here. So they, if you are ready, they will share the mysteries with you, and they will teach you about the mysteries. And I think that's a great word. Maybe that comes through Greek mythology, if you will, but I like that. In the shamans that I've worked with, they are very careful. So it's like they prepare you to receive the transmissions. So part of the rituals and the ceremony is to prepare your vessel so you're able to receive the transmissions and the teachings. And I put the, so this is the Lumina Tarot, which apparently is coming back in English in a mass market deck. I saw it on Amazon, so I did link it in a previous video, but I will put it underneath here later. This is the Starseeker Tarot, and this is the Wee Moon Tarot. So why did I put this young woman here who has, you can't see the her followers or the people that she's teaching in this picture? Because I think that is a essential part of understanding this archetype, that there are always humans receiving these transmissions. And the thing I like about this card is the energy beyond her head that looks like a crown, looks like mountains, looks like another world, looks like another universe. And I am by no means a Hierophant, but I completely connect to this massive power that appears from time to time overhead, much like a crown. And part of the microphone drop, part of the process is, how do I translate what I'm receiving? And the better Hierophants are so good at this translation. And they can be very young men and women. And it is surprising when it comes through a young one. It really is. So don't dismiss this the encounters with young people, there can be some brilliant messages that come through. Okay, what other decks do I have here? I have, this is a Journey of the Sacred Bee. I think this is just a beautiful card. This is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. And this is Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And I have one other. Can it fit on? It needs to fit on here. Okay. There we go. This is Solara Occulta. And I thought I really wanted to choose a one that looked like a more traditional picture, but I love the colors in this deck. There's also something really cool here about the wheat and the earth connections. And if you connect this archetype to Taurus or the earth, and in that it is the Hierophant who brings the messages to this earth. I kid you not, it feeds the earth. And this is a true story. This is a true story. So I was in a advanced yoga teacher training, and we were at my teacher's ashram in it's a little tiny farm in the southeast corner of British Columbia in Canada. And every day we did puja in a teepee in the center of the vegetable garden. And puja, so what was our puja? It was usually a lot of chanting of mantra. We fed a sacred fire, and there was always transmissions from the teacher. And that garden, that summer, grew. It was so hot. It was so hot. It shouldn't have grown. We were hand watering a little bit late at night. It should not have grown. But that garden was so green and so lush. It was like this magical place in the center of a very dry area. And so when I look at this Solara Occulta Tarot, I'm reminded of how these kinds of transmissions can feed not just the humans, but the land itself. Yeah. Okay. So I read something that made me chuckle this morning. Oh my God. It's so funny. Well, I'm going to read you something not so funny, and then I'll read you something funny. This is from Tarot of the Holy Light. And I think sometimes people have a difficult time differentiating between High Priestess and Hierophant. And I think it's described really well here. The High Priestess, instead of the High Priestess, okay, so the Hierophant, instead of working with consciousness born from the pure interior life, what the High Priestess does, his gift is in, or their gift is in, the consciousness generated from studies of the historical mysteries. So there's this combination of studying sacred texts that goes with this. There is transmission, but there is also most often teachings, and those teachings include practices that come with this. The priest faces the outer temple, while the priestess faces the inner temple. The Hierophant faces down the test of technical transmissions every day. This might not sit well with some people, but I'm going to read it anyway. As he comes to understand the strengths and special gifts of his students, the Hierophant will reassign the natural empaths for further tutoring to the High Priestess. Those who are intuitively denser and less transparent will stay with him to fill out the functional ranks of the outer church. And you can use that word church in metaphor. This just makes me laugh because it is so true. It's so true about how life at an ashram works, or even a like a big one, I'm thinking, or a smaller place. And that is a very different role for those who are tuned in much better. And I have had teachers who are definitely hierophants and worked with high priestesses as well too. And the frequency is different. It really is. And I just really appreciated reading that about this interaction between the two of them. And the high priestess may not necessarily be a her either, but it's a different frequency of light worker that you would work with once you began to open your channel. The cacao card. The cacao card. One of my daughters is a very powerful light worker, and her favorite medicine, favorite ceremony is the cacao ceremony. And she has tried to bring me into this. I've had many a cacao ceremony with her, and she has trained with elders in South America and brings very high quality cacao here. No sugar, just the pure plant. And it is of, maybe I'm just going to read this. Drinking pure cacao is an ancient practice that leads to greater perceptive awareness by opening the heart. Commercial chocolate is cacao stripped of its beneficial properties, cloaked in delicious yet harmful ingredients. Only true cacao can open the capillaries and increase blood flow. Spiritual teaching must speak authentically to reach the heart. And so one of the things that strikes me in cacao ceremony is the power of the plant and its direct heart, blood connection. It's really quite something. And if you've never been in a cacao ceremony and experienced something like this with pure cacao and, rattles and smoke and chanting or song, it's just so beautiful. Reminds me in a way a little bit of tea ceremony in Japan. Which is also bitter. But tea ceremony isn't shared as a spiritual experience. However, I think that if you were in the inner world of tea ceremony, you would learn about its spiritual connections. Because anything that is done with that much reverence and care is going to have a connection to spirit. Yeah. Mm. I want to do a reading today, but I think I need to select my top 5 cards first. Arya says that black, white gold card reminds me that in ancient Egypt, the granaries storing and distributing the land's produce were mostly run by the temples. Mm. Feed the body, feed the soul. Yeah. So we all have different relationships with this, and I am fortunate that mine have all been awakening experiences and lightening experiences. And so I share those. I share these with you today. Okay. It is really hard to choose top 5 here of these gorgeous cards. Yeah. I'm going to put the stone Morty to the side. And I'm going to put this one to the side. And I'm going to put this one to the side. And I'm going to do the reading from this deck, regardless of whether I choose it or not as a top 5. And I'll tell you why in a second. So yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need to take 2 away here, apparently. That's the rule of the game. That's the rule of the challenge. So, top 6. Top 6. I have to leave the rock troll. I have to leave the sadhu. I don't even know if it's possible to take one of these away. I'm not going to. These are my top 6 Hierophant cards. Okay. I really feel like doing a reading this morning, and I'm going to use this deck. This is I'll show you the box. This is Solara Occulto Meliora. And I'm going to draw 2 tarot cards. And I'm also going to draw 1 card. There's a small group of oracle cards that come with this deck as well too. And I'm going to draw one of those as well. And this is why I chose this deck, because they have they're really interesting words on some of them. And I just feel like we're going to get a juicy word in this message. Okay. All right. On Sunday, July the 7th, 2024, the moon has shifted into Leo and is beginning to wax. And in response to the reading the other day or others that you have done for your intentions with this lunar cycle, let this message from the Hierophant today perhaps provide a next step or something that was missed to clarify your personal intention for this lunation. The Fool. And 5 of Swords. So 5 and 5. I think it's really great that I'm going to do an oracle card. My goodness. So 5 of Swords. Fixed air, Aquarius. It's like the bridge to and putting this all together with the Fool. I'm just thinking this is like a bridge to a new word, a bridge to a new understanding, a bridge to a new thought, a bridge to like a challenging mental crossroads that takes you to a new truth. Really? I'm just looking at decanic rulers. No, it's not Venus, it's Mercury. Okay. All right, so great. So let's pull the word. Let's pull the word and see how that plays into this. Both the 5s and the 7s are challenges. They can present crossroads and difficulties in all the suits. And this one is more than likely a response, not a response, a reaction to something that irked you. So let's listen to this word as maybe a balm for that, or may even be quite tough love, I have a feeling. Okay. And I do have the PDF guidebook open on my laptop, so I will read from the words of Asteria. I believe that's her name, the creator of this deck. Okay. Wow. So, where's the cacao card? Look, this is showing lungs and heart. And this is making me think of the cacao card. It's making me think of heart medicine. So this reaction in the 5 of Swords, that I feel like a real sense of I need to do this on my own. And there's also a bit of loneliness here, that you are in a process of grieving through, growing through. The key word on this one is grief. Now, grief, of course, is a deep journey through the heart chakra, and maybe some bitter chocolate would be just the thing that you need. And let me read. I will expand. I don't know what she's going to say here in her grief words of wisdom. I know it's funny. Some of it's in alphabetical order and some of it's not. Anyway, I found it. Grief is felt in the lungs. And I also want to say, from my own teachings and the way that I work, grief is often carried in the back of the rib cage. So the tension appears like a vice grip, clenching on the back of your heart space. It embeds itself as a sticky entity that takes an unknown amount of time to exit the body. It tries to come out through the mouth by wailing. It tries to come out through eyes and tears. But there is a hollow and empty feeling in your chest when you are in deep grief. When you are grieving, you may notice that your skin loses its brightness. You may develop other skin issues such as eczema or dermatitis. Oh, she's good. Yes, this is very true. I didn't know. Are you aware of this? And often this is a response with anger as well too, which is one of the phases of grief. So the anger will appear on the skin as eczema or dermatitis. This is grief still trying to exit your body through your skin. Grief can also make you feel like you have the flu, like you could lay in bed for endless days. If you are grieving, allow yourself the space and time to grieve. Be present for it because there is no hiding from it. Nobody will understand your own grieving process more than you will, so it is very important to acknowledge your own needs right now. Upright hurting, loss, grief, skin issues, weight gain. Okay. So how you interpret this could be quite personal. And in a way, I wonder if the Fool and the Figure and the Five of Swords are avoiding the message, avoiding the teaching. And so I feel like the balm here in what I just read and the general advice of grief is to find a space to be in it. Find a safe space. And maybe indeed you need to go off on your own. And maybe there were some very hurtful words that you delivered as a reaction to your processing of grief. Because others didn't understand what you were going through. This could be super old. And for some reason, it's coming to the surface at this time. A lot of this kind of work happens in Cancer season. It takes us back to old wounds that we have swept underneath the carpet. And here it arises for contemplation again. All right. Take good care of yourselves. I will be back tomorrow with the next Arcanum, as well for a couple of more days before I take a break. All right. Wishing you all well. Take good care of yourselves. Namaste.